Welcome back, or welcome to A Drop of Happy, where we focus on carefree, stress well, light and lively living while reviewing and discussing all things entertainment and wellness. And today we're going to be wellness focused because uh, in the last recording, I talked about the Sinners Review and the tip for the Sinners Review, the stress management, whatever you want to call it, was to follow your heart. And then I had talked about the importance of values. Uh, so there was a post I did not too long ago, a lot long ago, a few years ago, and it was optimal response to stress and anxiety. Uh, Oh, I'm Wanda Toby. I'm your host. This is the podcast arm to my blog, lightview.com. And the post was actually posted on my blog, lightview.com, LITEVI.com. Also on most social media platforms at Lightview. And A Drop of Happy can be found on most streaming platforms, all the really popular ones. So please, if you haven't already, if you've stumbled across us, like, follow, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So this will be wellness focused. Once again, optimal recovery to stress and anxiety. And as I had mentioned before, the tip was to follow your heart. And part of following your heart is knowing yourself. So, interestingly enough, people often don't think about it this way or don't think about um, it being part of how you would uh, manage stress, manage life stressful situations, and things like that. But the first step to managing stress is getting to know yourself. Start the process by reflecting on what your values are and how they tie into your life. So, I used to be a stress management coach, but I kind of like to think myself as a stress management advocate more and kind of a stress well creator. So basically, I look for helpful stress management tips and tools so that you can add to your toolkit to get through what you got going on. This is my little slogan: use what you've got to get through what you've got going on. The thing though, it never fails. Like when I do search for like stress related articles, it's like the gloom and doom always pops up. In order to get like helpful information, I have to first kind of sift through all the results that tell us how awful stress is and how it will kill you. I mean, yeah, we get it. We get it. Stress, if left unchecked and is chronic and all that bad stuff, can lead to problems. But if you learn how to manage it, the inevitable stress that will occur can help you thrive, um, can help you grow, can help you get to the next level, or can just help you get through the next thing because um, you need those triggers to cause you to action, to cause you to take action. That's why comfortability. I had this conversation just the other day with my girlfriend. Comfortability is like a dream killer because you need a little friction to get you to the next level. One way to improve your stress response is to focus on your values. Um, Alice Boyd, uh, she contributed a great article to Psychology Today, and I'll have that linked, of course. And it highlights how your values can help you handle challenges that life throws at you. And it could be everyday challenges, big challenges, just challenges. I believe is the article is called "How to Respond Optimally to Stress and Anxiety," and Boyd provides 7 practical tips, and I'm all about practical tips. And the crazy, you will always hear me say this: it is not new under the sun. We just have to be mindful to do these things and think about these things, but also connect them to how they can help us. And sometimes we don't do that. Um, and these like practical tips will just help you recommit to your values when an unexpected or even expected stressor throws you for a loop. And many of the articles and tools that they give on stress management will kind of focus on things, often will focus on things like breathing, yoga, relaxation exercises, and things like that, which of course are all great to do, all great to have in your toolkit, all great to help. Again, not new under the sun. However, some things that often kind of get pushed aside are practices like mindfulness and self reflection, because sometimes we don't want to shine that light on ourselves, but we have to, right? And then, why sometimes it gets swept aside, especially the mindfulness, is because we get into this like loop of just automatic, and we don't think about things. We do the same things. We know what we're doing, and we don't stop to think. And I'm a huge kind of proponent of those practical approaches, because they contribute to our interpersonal growth and, again, allow us to better adapt to change, uh, especially when, that rut that we're in is disturbed. And now we're like, whoa, well, my routine, what happened? What's going on? Knowing your values kind of, falls along those lines, right? And there are several research articles that show a link between reflecting on one's values and the ability to build resilience. Resilience is super, 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 super important. Resilience is like stress happens, and then if you get through that, a situation happens that throws you for a loop. Getting through that is building resilience. Period. Point blank. In overwhelming and frightening moments, stress can be prevented or managed by contem- uh, self-disciplined contemplation of core values and goals. This was from an article by David Brendel from the Harvard Business Review, and I think I've also linked the article. And these are the steps. These are some steps that Boys has provided us, to connect and kind of engage our values during those like stressful times. Of course, in the article, it goes in more detail, but uh, I don't think these are like in any particular order. Um, but be clear on what enacting your values looks like. Like, what does it look like? And that's kind of like a little uh broad to me, like, right? What does that mean? And so when you say know your values, enact your values, what does that mean? Obviously the first baseline is knowing your values. So that might require a lot of work. But what does it mean to enact your values? In the article, um, she says it's things like paying mindful attention to my child, being human in my interactions with people, doing work that matters. So she's basically saying, like, okay, you have these values, and what does it look like? What, like, if my value is to be kind, well, how do I play that out in my life? How do I carry that out? Because if you have these values, but you're not uh, activating them in life, then that's a disconnect. That's like a disconnect with who you are. So that's kind of what that means, right? Observe. The second thing is observe what naturally helps you kind of do the above. What naturally helps you activate your values, merge your values, make sure that your values are part of your life. Like what natural things that help to do that. Um, take other people's perspective. What that mean? Excuse me. Obviously, that one's a little problematic for me. Um, which is not saying to take other people's opinion as golden or take other people's negative criticism. It's just saying to have an open space for other people's perspective because it might be different from yours, and therefore it might open up a new way of thinking. Because that, again, it's a little broad. Practice enacting your values more in all circumstances because your values are part of who you are. So when you think about, okay, what does it look like? Well, or what it would look like, in how many ways can I engage? Notice that some values naturally align with managing stressful uh, situations and encounters. It's like making that connection. Again, I think that's more on a broader scale that we don't tend to do, making the connection on how things in our lives um, affect our stress response and how things in our lives are connected. So that's kind of like what that is, more than just the values, but just in general, how our life choices and things like that are connected. Include ways of enacting your values that feel like self care or a treat, and then branch out from what you usually do. That one is, I think, that last one is a big one because, again, getting caught in doing the regular stuff, we're on autopilot. And then when we get disturbed from that autopilot, we're like a deer caught in the headlight. We don't know what to do. And then you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hit by the car. Lord, you don't want that. Um, so kind of branching out from what you usually do leaves you open, disturbs that automatic autopilot, which, don't get me wrong, we are a lot, there's a good portion of us that's on autopilot, but sometimes we have to kind of be aware and jolted out of that because we kind of need that. Boys in the article goes into more detail for each steps, a little bit more, but you can also explore more and go research um, and kind of and kind of look up some things and think about them and journal about them and stuff like that. You can definitely do that. A lot of some of the things that I talk about require you doing a little extra work. I know. No, no, nobody wants to do extra work, but it does require you doing a little extra work, um, taking some time to reflect on what's important to you, um, learning about your values, learning about some of these steps, um, and things like that. So, of course, I'm gonna say journal, journal it out, journal about it. Uh, um, whether it's digital, whether you actually write it down, however, because that really helps you to get to know yourself. It helps you to work things out. It helps you to uh, connect. And I would actually recommend against digital in writing your thoughts out just because, again, another thing I was talking about was the age of everything being digital. And sometimes we just need to step away from that. So that's what I would encourage, to get an actual journal. Um, and the first step to managing stress is basically to getting to know yourself. And that's how you do that. So please reflect on what your values are, reflect on how they tie into your life, then practice kind of activating it and enacting it regularly so that stress triggers can be handled seamlessly and smoothly, or at least better than you normally would. And then you build that resilience and be more equipped for whatever comes next, because it's always something that's going to come next, right? Always something that's going to come next. So uh thank you. Thank you for joining. This was just wellness focused. Again, the articles will be linked for your enjoyment. Remember to uh, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Come back where all streaming platforms, it's A Drop of Happy, and the website is lightfeed.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to live light and what? Stress well.